I'm making really slow progress, but I guess that's kind of what long summer days are all about.
I feel as if recently I've been matching the nature of the seasons. Spring was a really busy time of trying to find painting inspiration and going out as much as possible to different locations looking for wildlife, and everything was lovely, but it was also very busy, very full on, and very chaotic. I definitely feel like I was embodying the frantic nature of spring, trying to fit everything in. And then summer has rolled around and we've had a heat wave and things have slowed down a little bit.
I'm staring at a patch of grass because the cricket sounds so loud when it sings that I feel like it's got to be right underneath me. But it stops every time you get close, and I haven't seen it yet. It has taken me longer than I would care to admit, but I can finally see a cricket in person. Let's see if I can actually show you it. Excellent video footage this is. Oh, I think he's gone. Hang on. Just listen to how loud that is. It's got to be right in front of me somewhere, and I cannot see it. That is the female, because you can see the ovipositor there, and she is listening out to the call of the male, who I have still yet to find. But I am going to leave those alone now. But yay, Roselle's bush cricket.
Wildlife is obviously still quite abundant, but there definitely seems to be a less frantic nature to proceedings.
The butterfly bush is living up to its name.
I think one thing that slows things down is the heat that we've been having. You don't want to be rushing around when it's so warm outside. And so if I do spend time out and it's a little bit warmer, then I am definitely slower. I'm spending more time in shade and I'm spending more time watching things instead of charging about the place like I was doing in the springtime. And when you slow down, I think you notice more, and that encourages you to spend more time looking at nature. So it's kind of this cycle. I went on a walk that I have done before in the past, and I did it in about half an hour, 40 minutes. This time around, I spent about an hour and a half out doing the exact same route, but I just kept stopping every 5 minutes or so, looking at all of the wildlife.
I am absolutely surrounded by bees. just out of reach, right down there. This bright white blob there, that's a holly blue.
But it's not just the heat that has made me slow down. I think it's the fact that it's the longer days that we're having. I don't feel like I need to rush to fit everything in because there's so much daylight where I can go and explore.
One thing I like about summer are the longer days and the extra daylight. So outside of work in the winter, usually I'm starting work in the dark and finish work in the dark, and then I think that makes you feel a bit tired, but it's so light at the moment, and so there's time in the morning, and on an evening once I finish work there's about 4 or 5 hours of daylight left for exploring. It's been so warm through the days recently. Just tripped over a rock. I need to watch where I'm going. It's been so warm through the days recently that it's nice coming out a little bit earlier. It was drizzling a bit this morning, but I feel like it's already starting to get warm again. So I'm trying to make the most of the cooler weather and just see what wildlife's out before it gets a bit too warm.
In the winter, it would be dark before work, and so I would miss out on a lot of the opportunity to go out and do something like this. So I've been trying to make the most of getting out and going for walks and still visiting other places, but maybe not quite at such a frantic pace as I was in the springtime, and just enjoying seeing wildlife in the times that are usually off limits when it gets to the colder months.
Look at that rabbit sleeping over there.
Early mornings are giving me a little bit of quiet, just some time before the heat kicks in and things get a bit busier, where I can spend some quiet time with nature and really set myself up for the day. This isn't about trying to squeeze loads of stuff into the day. This is just about being able to take my time with nature because I feel like it doesn't have to be rushed. I can see things in the morning if I know I'm going to have a busy day ahead. And if I have a full day at work, I can still spend some time with wildlife on an evening because there's so much daylight before it'll be time to go to sleep. It's about knowing that if I don't get to do all of the things that I would like to do on my day off, then I don't need to worry because there will be other opportunities in the week to still get my fix of nature. And that slower approach to living, that gentler pace of my day, has kind of extended into my painting as well. The painting hadn't been as regular as I might have liked this year. If you've watched my videos before, you'll know that I've spent this spring prioritizing searching for reference material, and so I haven't been able to paint as often as I would have liked. And that was kind of eating away at me a little bit, and I was feeling like I ought to be more productive. And one benefit of taking the time to slow down this summer is it's helped me to relax with the painting front as well and just enjoy the time that I do get to paint. And actually, I have been able to paint more frequently these past few weeks, even though I have been taking a slightly slower approach to things. Because I haven't mentioned them yet, can we just take a second to appreciate how absolutely adorable these rabbits are? If you watched last week's video, you will know that I have recently got myself a camera after years of saying I was going to get one and struggling to film everything on my phone. I have now got a camera and I am enjoying using it for things like this. How could you not take the time to slow down when this is happening right in front of you? These were so adorable, and I could have maybe made a video just of footage of rabbits. That was an option. I decided to try and make it a bit more varied, but I spent quite a bit of time watching these, and it was just really lovely. So I'm going to let you enjoy the moment too. It should therefore come as no surprise the subject of today's painting. The slower pace definitely transitioned into this painting, and it was a slower pace that I didn't realize I'd be missing out on, especially when it comes to painting, because I hadn't been doing as much as I would have liked over the past few months, so it didn't even occur to me that I might need to slow down my approach to it. But even though I hadn't been painting quite so often, I realized that painting had been on my mind almost constantly. In the busy rush to fit everything in the springtime, I was constantly aware of the fact I wasn't painting as much as I wanted to. And so that played on my mind. Even though I wasn't actually physically painting, I was still thinking about it a lot and feeling a little guilty that I wasn't managing to do as much as I would have liked. And then when I did find the time to paint, I found that I was rushing through the process because I knew I only had a certain amount of time to get things done before it was time to move on to the next task. And it's really hard to get lost in your painting and to enjoy the moment when you're constantly checking the time, wondering whether you have enough time to finish a bit or if you're going to have to come back to it later. For me, that's really not the point of painting. One of the things that I really enjoy about being an artist and about painting things like this is the fact that it can take you away from your day to day worries and just provide you with a little bit of time to sit back, get completely lost in the painting, and have all of your worries and stresses of the day fade from your mind while you concentrate on painting the tiny details. I have enjoyed that about painting for almost as long as I have been painting. I remember the first time, or one of the first times, I felt that sense of just getting completely lost in a painting and losing track of time. And it was when I used to paint nail art for myself. I would paint tiny bits of wildlife on my nails, and I would do this on a weekly basis, and it would take me hours to paint a full set of nails. And quite often, I would be up until pretty late on in an evening doing these wildlife paintings on my nails. And in that time, I was completely absorbed in what I was doing. And I remember when I first started doing this, I was feeling particularly stressed at the time, and painting my nails was the only time that my mind was quiet and I was completely fixated on the painting and nothing else mattered, and it was just really peaceful. So, to reach a point in painting where I'm constantly checking the time and worried that I'm not going to fit everything into my painting session, it kind of defeats the object because I can't lose myself in a painting. I'm way too preoccupied with the time, and so I don't get to enjoy it as much as I know I can do. But after slowing down for the summer, I made a real conscious effort with this painting to take things slowly and to give myself as much time as I needed to finish it. And I feel like it turned out so much better because of that. Because I'd been able to film on mornings and evenings, it meant that when I did have a day off through the week, I didn't need to go out and film anymore. I could just concentrate on painting. And so I had hours and hours to just sit and do this, and it was really lovely. And I put on a podcast and I made myself a cup of tea and I had a biscuit and I just sat and enjoyed pretty much every minute of it. I know that this isn't always possible. Sometimes work is very busy or there's a calendar full of appointments and other commitments to keep up to that there isn't the time to slow down as much as I would like. But that just means that when I do have opportunities like this, I really want to make the most of them. And I have enjoyed making the most of this one this week. Early morning light calls in the cool, calm quiet. Welcome to a new day. Breathing in, we share soft moments, quiet concentration at thistle and knapweed, savoring the still. Time to pause, to notice, to breathe. The day unfurls ahead, the sun envelops, and we are slower still. Hidden habits uncovered, secrets shared, in a few moments spared. A step into a world unacquainted with busy, with chaos, with rushing. How could I forget this feeling? Wrapped up in the routine of life. I end my day with you, just as softly as it started. A warm glow, a familiar call, the promise of tomorrow. And then you and I are parted.